All right, guys, here we go. This is season 3, session 2 of Health, Wealth, and Happiness Mastery Training. We have, as you probably are aware, an epidemic. And I got to tell you, I think the best way to frame this is for me to really show you where I was and where I've progressed. And we'll celebrate that a little bit. But how we've helped others, but how we have a job to do to help so many others. So kind of paint yourself back around the Y2K. There was this Y2K thing about going into the year 2000, the computers were going to freeze. It was New Year's Eve night. And it was, we're all sitting around, my team, we're kind of having a party, but we're also watching because we had like 25 servers we had to monitor. And at that time, I was around 270 pounds. Just so you have frame, today, about 195, get down to 192, nice. For me, my body type, that's a good weight to be at. I feel good, energetic, really ready to serve, ready to help you. But take a look at this picture. That's me, New Year's Eve, 1999. If I only knew then what I'm about to share with you now, my life would have been completely different. And here's the things that were showing up. I had a temper back then. I didn't feel good most of the time, carrying all that extra weight. I was drinking, at the time, 3 to sometimes 10, maybe 12, 20-ounce Mountain Dews a day. For me, lunch was having a full Papa John's pizza with maybe 6 breadsticks. No, vegetables on the pizza. It was that was my scene. I was the beige eating food guy. Breads, cheeses, breadsticks, potatoes, meats, all that kind of stuff. Didn't realize that I was doing so much harm to my body, but there were symptoms showing up. Diabetes type 2, right on the cusp of that. I was going into and having major issues, and I don't like to share this with you, kind of gross, hemorrhoids that were excruciating because I wasn't hydrating properly and I was living the life. Everything they told you not to do to not have hemorrhoids, essentially, I was doing times 10. And it stacked exponentially. My point with all this is this. There's a lot of people, and you may know some, who are maybe struggling with weight, maybe energy, maybe being clear about why they want to change. Maybe they're carrying around guilt because they're not changing. And in today's training, this mastery training, we're going to work through a model that was developed after I made my shift and had the honor of coaching at the time over 1,000 sessions to really kind of get a framework together that you could follow to really help you, those you love, those you care for, those you serve, to make shift, maybe baby steps, one change at a time, whatever that is, towards being your best self. So that all being said, I'd like for you to take a moment and assess, how are you feeling now? How are you feeling energetically, mentally, emotionally, maybe physically? You getting enough exercise? These kind of things? Today's training is really going to help kind of dial this in for you, but also it's going to help, as we'd like to talk about in high performance, help you help others improve their life too. Do you think that's important to you? Take a moment, just think about it, maybe shut your eyes for a minute. Are there any people around you right now that need direction, help, towards being their best, better, whatever you want to call it, self? That maybe live too much in neutral or negative mindset, that need to live more in a positive mindset, have a positive psychology. So I hope you've got some fuel now. I'm going to go ahead, shift to the logo, get that picture off the screen, and we're going to dive into some really, really powerful training today. I'm going to give you some tactics. We're going to start with our why, our big picture perspective, to really kind of course correct and go after this for you. So before we get started, if you're new and you haven't seen me or this is new to you, I'm Charly Caldwell II, a certified high performance coach, where we go through and we help you really live into, get emotionally connected with, feel emotionally fueled about being your most confident, joyous, connected, fully vibrant self. And let me give you this, consistently over the long term. Think about that for a minute. If you had more joy consistently over the long term, if you felt more physically vibrant, emotionally connected, positive psychology dialed in over the long term, what would shift for you? And that's the way that we approach the high performance conversation. And of course, we're blessed from our master coach, Brendan Richard, to have all of these beautiful books that have frameworks and sessions behind them to really walk you through 36 at this point, powerful sessions towards really commanding that. And let me tell you, it's a journey, not a destination. The blessing is I can only serve so many people, and I have in our beautiful mastery community other CHPCs that can help you as well. So if I can't help you and you need some help down these paths that I was just talking through, maybe it's in relationships, maybe it's with your business, maybe it's just to work on yourself. We got a whole slew of people that are ready to serve, support, and help you. So down below, you'll see how you can start that conversation, if you will, and move that forward. Really making sure I want to take care of you, support you, but also as we go into the next year, the next 3, the next 5, the next decade, that you're on a trajectory of growth, a trajectory of help. And if you need to dial it in for you or somebody else, like we talked about from the beginning, that you have the support, the people that love on you, care for you, support you, take care of you from that place of ambition. Not living in the blame, excuse, denial, but really going after ownership, accountability, responsibility. We're also blessed to have this beautiful tool that helps you bring more sensation, more connection, more feeling into your day, the High Performance Planner. So it's really pivotal if you want to own this. Maybe you don't want to do the coaching or whatever that is, but you can get into the planner, and I'll have links for that down below as well, to really help you understand how the highest performers set up their mornings, what the questions are they ask themselves, how they close their day down, and how they kind of look over their day in the morning and kind of think about what they're going to do today and how they want to feel throughout their day. Their responsibilities, but also maybe their life's work, their life's ambitions, that bucket list that so many people talk about. Whew, I know that was a lot, but just know this. You're supported, cared for, taken care of, loved, served, whatever it is for you, whatever you need. If something's showing up for you in the small amount of time we've been together so far, go ahead, comment below, maybe send me an email, whatever that is for you. If you're like, Char, kind of heard what you said, struggle in this area, need a little direction, need a little help, have a question, whatever that is, just let me know. I'm here to support you. Our beautiful mastery community and the coaches in it, they're here to support you too and make sure that we're moving this across a growth path for you. That all being said, let's go ahead and start with perspective. So why are we doing this in the first place? Why do we want to live a better life? Why do we want to live, as we're framing for today, an exceptional life? So what are the sort of catalyst, the emotion, the fuel for you? And I like to boil them down into 5 P's. You may have heard these before. So when I'm writing on the whiteboard, you should be writing in your notes. So if you take a moment, maybe you need to pause the video if you're watching the replay. Take a moment, get some notes out, or get a computer out, get your phone out with notes in it, whatever it is for you. And I really want to paint this big, broad picture as we dive into the training today, because it's going to really support these 5 P's. The first P, that the highest performers, people who are loving life, really going after it, live to, is purpose. So think about that for a minute. First P, purpose. And I'd like to ask you, how purposeful have you felt in the last week, in the last month, in the last year? What are things that ignite you feeling purposeful? What are things that make you feel unpurposeful? In the highest performer world, we communicate around purpose when we're helping others or improving other people's lives, helping the world somehow. The conversation comes out of us and goes into helping other people. It's very much about contribution, very much about servant leadership. So if you want to assess yourself, common thing we do in coaching is we do an assessment. 0, haven't felt purposeful at all. 10, feel incredibly purposeful. How purposeful have you felt, let's just say in the last month? 0 to 10. If it rates below an 8, 10 being most purposeful. If it rates below an 8, what are some things you can do to increase feeling more purposeful? Maybe just one thing. Want an illustration? Make some calls. See how you can help others. That's it. Hey, Mom, I haven't talked to you in a while. Is there anything I can do right now to help you? What? Who are you? What's going on? No. That's it. That adds amazing purpose to a lot of people. That's self-reported, by the way, for the people that I've had the honor of coaching. What is it for you? Who needs that call? Anybody in mind? Second P, passion. How emotionally engaged and enthused have you felt? We'll go back to the last month, just in general. 0, not at all. 10, owning it. I swing around the day like a passionate monster. Awesome. Really going after it. What is that for you? 0, not at all. 10, owning it for the last month. If it's below an 8 again, what can you do that brings you more passion? What could you put in your schedule to go after that? And I'll tell you what, it connects back to what we just talked about. Making some phone calls, maybe one a day, just to see how you can help others. Think about that, 30 times a month to really go out and see what you can do to help others. And then maybe someone will say, hey, I could use some help in this way, and you can do that. Create connection, and hopefully that will help along these 2 P's, but with the 3rd P, which is positive. Joyous, love. If you ever notice me on social media, I'm the love guy. Love, love, love. Love, 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 love. Really going after putting goodwill, love, connection. And I made that decision a long time ago. That's the way I'm going to use social media, is to contribute, grow relationships, give love. The world needs a lot of it. You agree? So when you think about the last month, how positive have you felt? Kind of goes back to our earlier conversation. Positive mindset, joyous, engaged, present, caring, compassionate. Anything there for you? Does anything need some work? Do any specific relationships need some work? Or even just with yourself? Got it? Well, I know this is a tall order, isn't it? How you doing so far? You doing okay? Man, I just wish that big guy self of me knew this. I would have really been able to pivot and go after a better life. Don't get me wrong, my life was really well set up. We were doing very well in our business and owning it that way, but I was not well here and not well physically. And with my relationship, had a temper, had some neutral, negative, more often than I wanted, those kind of things. So if that's showing up for you, this stuff helps. You assess yourself on these things. It kind of asks the right questions for you to dial those things in. And if you have any commitment to take an action, now you have a framework of what to take action on. Follow? Which is our next P, productivity. The taking of action towards the betterment of you, those you love, those you care for, if you have a business, those you serve, and the world. So when you think of productivity, I want to make sure we frame this. And again, if I'm writing, you should be writing in your notes. The highest performers, when we define productivity, it means we're getting our responsibilities done every day, but we're also working towards our life streams, our life's work. And you see it show up here in this model. It really is clear that, you know what, I'm going to get my stuff done, and then I'm going to go after, or conversely, I'm going to go after my big dreams, then I'm going to get my stuff done. There's a great saying, if you've got your notes out, write this down. Create in the mornings, manage in the afternoons. And that's something I love to do my creative work in the morning and then take care of life in the afternoon. So often, and a lot of people that I've coached, they assess that in the morning they have most command and control of their day and they feel their best. Some people aren't morning people. You might be one of them. But you get the idea, right? So that pivot. And I just want to make sure you got that. So in the last month, along that definition of productivity, how have you been doing? What's been showing up for you? 0, oh yeah, I ain't getting anything done. I'm binge watching Netflix. 10, crushing it. Getting my responsibilities taken care of, being present, caring, compassionate with those I love, care for, and serve, while going after my life's work. And is there enough time in the day for all that? It's a big question people ask. One gal told me, you know what? She says, you know what, Char? Even on days where I feel like there isn't enough time, I tell myself, there's enough time to get everything done today. And just her saying that helps her with the sensation of having enough time. Conversely, don't have enough time. If you keep saying that, even on the days where you might have enough time, you're already pre-framed that you don't. Anything there for you? What's showing up there? Do you need some help there? Again, if you have anything that comes up for you here, comment below. Let me know. We have in our mastery community, we have our questions and answer sessions. We're going to have one right after this training's presented, so that we can make sure we're taking care of you while these things are top of mind. We have 2 of those a month in our mastery community. If you're not part of our mastery community, you can learn more about it. Lifebusinesssuccess.us. Lifebusinesssuccess.us. Lifeandbusinesssuccess.us. And it really helps get you that accountability that you might need for that. The last P is a profitable life. when we're feeling healthy, wealthy, and not only from the money side, but from the relationship side, wealth in life, wealth in fitness, wealth in abundance in every area, profitability piece, and happiness dials that in too. I can tell you there's a lot of people I've coached who are very unhappy because of their financial situation. I was just talking with a great friend of mine last night about this. They have the zero line where debt's paid off and they're moving up in creating asset, growing net worth, and they live down below the zero line. They're in debt and they just can't seem to break it. And if you need help there, I'm here for you. And let me tell you, a lot of people that I've coached, when we break that zero line and we set, 10K in assets now, I got some breathing room, 20K, 30K, 100K, they are loving life. They're feeling a freedom they haven't felt in a long time or ever. And I help a lot of people get there, and I'm more than happy to help you down that path. And we're going to talk about how we get there in just a quick sec. But with that all being said, I'd love to know, when you assess yourself on these for the last month, where do they fall? If any of them fall below an 8 and you need help, know this, I'm here for you. We've actually set up, and it's down here, an email address that says, if you email me one goal, even a couple goals if you want, whatever that is for you, to mygoal@successacademy.us, I will make sure to track those, and you can email me progress on those, just so you have a level of accountability there. Because that's one thing I noticed as we've been going through these first 2 years of our mastery community and our monthly program, is there wasn't enough accountability, and I want to make sure I'm delivering for you. So that, my beautiful friend, is the perspective part of our journey today. Hopefully with just that, you feel the value of what we're doing here. Do you feel it? Take a deep breath. That was a lot. And if this is the first time you heard of the P's, the 5 P's, that's the magic. We get that connection to life when we have high ratings in those P's. We get that connection with ourselves, those we love, those we care for, the world, when we live into those. When we dial in this conversation that usually comes from the profitability piece, stuff versus adventure. Some people bury themselves in getting so much stuff because the world's engineered to market to us and make us want stuff, like the newest iPhone and the newest this and the newest that. And we're like, you know what? Don't need that. Boom, money saved. You know what? Dial in what I got. Let me sell what I got. Boom, money accumulated. I feel a freshness, a power there. Haven't felt that. Really powerful. So if you need the stuff to adventure conversation, you need to have that with somebody, I'm your guy. Just let me know. I can tell you, and I think you may have heard the story if you've listened to me before, 2006, I sold 90% of my things, huge inspiration from Tim Ferriss, and got clear on living a life of adventure, not stuff. And what I have, I use. And it's critical. And I go through every half year, and just kind of do a sweep. This is what I have been using this, and get rid of, donate, recycle, whatever that would be. So with that, let's go ahead and jump into the training aspect. So I've got a worksheet for you. If you want to download it, it's available as a link below. If you're watching the replay, it's available as a download. This is the Exceptional Model Worksheet. It looks just like this, and we're going to walk through it together. Where does having an exceptional life start? Take a moment and think about that. If you're going to have an exceptional life, where does that start? If you said yourself, you're on it. So the very first left side, you want to be clear about you. Now, we've pre-framed this pretty well today. We've gone through ways to think about you having an exceptional life, right? So in the model, there's more tactics of ways to help you live your best life. These 10 areas, we covered them in season 3, session 1, the starting from scratch episode, or session, if you will, of Health, Wealth, and Happiness Mastery Training. And we went over these 10 areas. I'm going to review them quickly, but you can go back to that training and get the more depth if you want. If they're new to you, I want you to quickly assess yourself as I put these up, 0 to 10, as to how well you're doing. And then we're going to go through the pyramid we went through kind of as a refresher from session 1 to really help you ignite why this is important. You follow? So these 10 areas are critical. These are the things I wish I told the big guy, big version of me, my big boy self, to really think about and own, because I was falling apart in almost, I think, every one of them except, you'll see, finances. So here we go. The very first is sleep. So the quick assessment here is how well have you been sleeping, 0 to 10 in the last month. And let's assess the quality of rest and 7 to 9 hours a night consistently. So think about that last month. Same story over here. 0, not at all. What sleep? Didn't get any. 10, owning it. Right? What is that for you? And if it's below an 8, that's where you want to think about what's one thing I could do. Or maybe I need to learn how to get better rest because I have insomnia or something like that. If you need help with that, let me know. We've got tons of resources for you. Next up, hydration. And what I'm talking about is not the old big boy version of me, but I'm talking about drinking water. You know, the human body, at least in the way we are today, 2 to 5 liters of water a day. A lot of people, they have a gallon. That's their goal per day. And I'll tell you, when I got rid of soda in June of 2008, completely out of my life. And June 30th of 2008, I'm a date guy, so that's how that can work. And I brought water in mass. Got rid of all these headaches, these dull headaches I was having because there was dehydration. I was drinking diuretics, these kind of things. That made a pivot towards my energy, my zest. People would tell me I had shinier, vibrant skin just because I was drinking more water. So your job is to think, just like we do with sleep, how well you've been hydrating consistently every day, drinking the right amount of water. And do you have it handy? Like, do you have a insulated bottle with you for that? 0 to 10 last month. Next up is eating. And when we say eating, unlike the big boy version of me, eating nutrient-rich veggies, a little bit of fruit, nuts, legumes, staying away from the beige foods. 0 to 10, on average for the last month, how have you been doing there? 80% nutrient-rich. If that's a trick for you and you need help there, we're going to go through a pyramid real quick here that will sort of boost the way to think through that. So what is that for you? 0 to 10, last month, 80% nutrient-rich. Maybe there's a cheat day per week. That falls in that 20%. Cheat meal per week, whatever it is. I still have cheat days and cheat meals. And I love them and I own them. Just like I always tell people when they're around me, I'm bringing out my big boy self. Really powerful. So eating 0 to 10 the last month, eating nutrient rich. Next up, exercise. Before filming this today, I was out in the heat running 2 miles. And boy, that last quarter mile was like, I felt like I was going to puke because it was so hot. But I made it. And then I cooled down and took care of it. So when we define exercise, it isn't about like every day I got to work out for an hour. It's the minimum effective dose. 2 times a week, maybe working out moderate pace, fast-paced walk for an hour. 2 other times per week, maybe something more hefty, like high-intensity training. Running for 20 minutes. And that's generally what I do. And then maybe working out, getting the cardio and the strength in there. You know, the running for cardio, the strength could be with weights, kettlebell, something like that. So we call that the 2x2s. 2 60 minutes, 2 20-minute exercises per week. That's kind of the minimum effective dose for what our body needs at a cellular level to keep things kind of in check, to purge, to sweat out toxins, those kinds of things. So how are you doing there, 0 to 10, with exercise in the last month? 0, don't, what? What exercise? 10, oh, that's my basics. I'm beyond that, but I'm owning it consistently over the long term. If it's below an 8, you need direction or help, comment below. Let me know. We'll be more than happy to help you out there. Next up, sleep, hydration, eating, exercise, taking breaks. Assuring that throughout our day we stop, we assess how we're feeling, and then we kind of set some intention for how we want to go into the next part of our day. You know? Like, how are we going to show up now? Going into the next part of our day. What do we really want to achieve? A lot of it comes from this high performance planners concept that every so often throughout our day we pop up like what is that? Hedgehog? I don't know. Whatever it is, a ground mole? No. Can't even think of what that animal is. Pops itself up, looks around, puts itself back in the ground. To see how we're doing. Like a submarine in a periscope, right? Pops up, looks around, where are we at? Oh, okay. Put yourself back down. Just to assess how we're feeling, what we're doing, and what our intention is as we go through the next day. The people that do that consistently, take these breaks and have these intentionality breaks, they're the ones that report the highest level of emotional connection and the least level of what happened today was any different than yesterday. This day stunk. Just get up tomorrow and do it all again. I feel like a zombie in the Matrix. I feel like a robot. Because they just haven't taken time to assess, kind of do the pulse check on how they feel. And that's a big part of this guide. So if you want to give this a try, links are below, or even look at it to see what it's in it. You can see the links below as well. Just want to make sure I'm helping you like I wish I was able to help my big boy self back in 1999. Boy, if I only knew this stuff, that would have been great. Next up is happiness. Again, we're rating ourselves for the last month. 0, don't have this at all, to 10, owning it. Happiness can be defined a bazillion ways. But what we're looking for is we're generally around people that uplift us, meaning they're joyful, positive most of the time, and we're learning new things, creating from what we've learned and sharing them with the world. And that can be as simple as learning something new, like reading an article, sharing it on social, and then trying it in your life, right? That's an easy way of doing that. So how do you feel about your happiness? 0 in the last month to 10. How you doing there? Along those two metrics. People that uplift you and learning new things that empower you, that inspire you, that really are growth-minded. Creating maybe from what you've learned, sharing with the world. And when I say create, it could be you're just journaling how I'm going to apply that in my life, what I could do to help others this way, something like that. Kind of coming back to the high performance conversation. Happiness. Next up is presence. I really want you to assess. You're going to see it show up here in the model. This idea of how present you are with yourself, with those you love especially. Are you in front of the glass, your phone, your tablet? Or are you taking time to play some Uno and just own it? Maybe you're playing Sketch Party, that beautiful app on the iPad that's like Pictionary. And it shows it on either the iPad or a big screen that you can play with family or friends or whatever that is. And you're laughing, bringing joy, connected. Maybe you're playing Scrabble, Monopoly, Clue, some of these really wonderful games that are available. Maybe you're playing something online. Maybe you're just having a great conversation. But are you present in the moment? 0 to 10 in the last month on average with yourself and with others. How are you doing there? And be honest. If you need work there, most people, including me, do, really assess, what am I going to do to be more present? Next up, finances. And this kind of ties to the profitability conversation that we had over here. How are you doing with keeping or having enough income to take care of your break even? Have a little budget or whatever you want to call it for fun and freedom. And paying down debt, saving for the future. A little bit of each. When you look at the last month, have you moved forward in these areas? Or are you falling further in debt? What's showing up for you there? Do you have auto savings at play? Where you're automatically saving? Like when a paycheck comes in, boom, this all goes to our budgetary needs every month, our expenses. Boom, this part falls right into my debit card or pays for a credit card to do fun and freedom when we live within that realm. And this part automatically goes to retirement fund or pays down debt, whatever that is, whatever that piece is. Anything there for you? So in the last month, 0 to 10, how are you doing in finances? And you're going to see this P word show up all over the place today. Next, this area is purpose. And I think we did a great job with that. So whatever you had for your rating up here, you can kind of transfer here. Last month, 0 to 10, how purposeful have you felt? I think we framed that up for you. Finally, and this relates to the high performance planner and productivity, how well are you doing 0 to 10 with your daily plan? Or do you have a daily plan? That might be a better question to ask. 0 to 10 last month. Are you taking time to plan your week, to plan your day, to have time blocking, something we teach in high performance, where we have very clear directives that we're very focused on one thing in to go after? You follow? Just a week ago, I went down to Naples, as you may know, it's one of my favorite places, and I did 5 50-minute power sessions. And here's how it worked. Just an illustration for you. I dropped my girls off at school around 7, drove down to Naples, got there around 7:45, went, got the green kale shake at Delicious Raw, walked down to the Brick, which is a coffee shop, worked there. It was actually 75 minutes. I worked there, full focus, put it in my backpack, took it to the car, went to the beach, walked the beach for 50 minutes, came back, went to another place, Dulce and Salato, for lunch, and I worked there for another 50 minutes. Full focused, knew what that time block's outcome was, put my backpack in my car, lucky it's in between all this, walked the beach again, then took my backpack and went to Starbucks, worked there for 50 minutes. You see where this is going? I got exercise, physiology, and I know when I work and then I go out and just walk, huge amounts of creativity come back to me. I'm a better worker when I have these. And look at that. That was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just owning it. Oh, and I forgot, I went to Jane's for a little brunch as well, somewhere in there. I think it was before I went to the Brick. I went to Jane's, then I went to the Brick. That whole thing was an amazing day. I just wanted to see if I could do it. And I wanted to really notice, for me, if I lived in that daily plan, how my outputs were. On it, owned it. But I don't know if that inspires you or makes it sound exhausting, but that's a piece to this. So the next part, as I mentioned, about you, is how you're fueling yourself to make this consistently over the long term. Now, we covered this pyramid in our session 1. And what it is the way to basically make change in your life is your thoughts become your behaviors, become your habits, become your actions, right? Like what you think about these things and how you behave when you do it, they all fuel you towards making pivotal change in your life. So who do you need to be to live into better versions of and ratings for all these things that we've covered so far? What do you need to do differently? What do you need to not do? What are you going to have? What we find is when we get clear on what we're going to have from this, higher levels of energy, better future, higher levels of health, better feeling of making sure I'm taking care of me and those I love. These are the things that keep this in check. That's the have piece. And then we add the give. The whole arc of today's conversation is, what are we giving to others? What are we doing to help other people? And so many people that I've coached, especially at the beginning, I don't have any energy to give, Char. I'm sorry. I'm tanked. Well, we got to work on that. And a big part of that is something we teach in high performance is the clarity chart. And I want to make sure I covered that for you real quick. Now we go ultra deep in high performance. So if you have any inkling that high performance is a conversation for you, there's a link below that you can jump on to sort out and answer some questions that will really help us understand where you're at and where we can help you. Not only me, but the beautiful high performance coaches that I have as part of my community are willing to help there too. But the idea of the clarity chart is this. The high performers are clear about who they are for themselves, and they define words. For me, it's present, joyous, bold. These are words I remind myself of every day to be who I know I should be for you, for anybody, but for myself. The next set of words are interactive words. Enthusiastic, loving, engaging. These words are how I want to make sure I remind myself to be when I'm interacting with others. And then 3 more words, success markers. Purposeful, scheduled, disciplined. These words really help me ignite that. So I just want to throw that out to you. That's kind of the work that we do in that realm of high performance. But I want to make sure I'm giving you some tactics to grab onto to really own it. Now you're going to see how everything we've covered maps into the exceptional life model. So if you got your worksheet, you got to print it. If not, just draw this box. If you have colored markers, great. If you don't, that's cool too. And we'll make sure we walk through this because this is another tool, a tactic that helps you assess how well you're doing. So we've dove incredibly deep on you. We're not going to be spending that much time on any of the other boxes because a lot of the stuff we've already covered is just fitting it into the model. Next up is others. Because guess what an exceptional life typically has in it? You and others. And these 3 arrows, 1 word each. Create, build, and maintain, and I'll say exceptional relationships with others and you. What are you doing to create, build, and maintain exceptional relationships with those around you? And are you qualifying others? We talked about this over here in happiness. Are you around people that generally uplift you? Some people, they're like on a path of personal growth and they recognize the person they're with or the people they're around, they're not the right people. And that's a difficult, sometimes, it feels impossible conversation to have if that happens to be the person you're married to. But I've had it with dozens of people and we've really helped them. Sometimes both of them transcend, other times they've had to go their own ways. And all of them have reported that have gone their own ways over the last few years, that they're in a much better place now because they stayed on a growth path. All of the people that I worked with, not necessarily the others, the other spouse or partner or boyfriend, girlfriend. Does that make sense? So I just want to make sure your job right now is to assess with just this part of the model and all this framing, how you're doing at taking care of you and choosing who you want to be around and how you create, build, and maintain exceptional relationships for the long term. Does that make sense? Because here's the thing we know. 5 Regrets of the Dying says it the best. I regretted not keeping my golden friendships alive. It's one of the regrets of these thousands of people that were interviewed on their way out of life, typically with a terminal illness. And I got to tell you, just telling you that gives me chills because that's everything. You may not feel it now, but as you get older, most people are like, yeah, that's where it's at. So now what we have to think about in this blue box is for this entire relationship with yourself, with others, what's 3 words that describe something that has to happen consistently, always? That's a great way to rate yourself. And I'll tell you what, I mentioned it, present, caring, and compassionate. And if I'm writing, you better be writing. So this box encloses creating, building, and maintaining exceptional relationships. You see how the relationship, everything evolves around being present. My grandma was a master of this. She could just detect, Char, what's wrong? I can see it in your face. Is there anything I can do to help? She lived into the definition of compassion. Compassion is to recognize somebody's struggle, have a desire to alleviate it. That's one of the definitions of it. She lived in the definition of caring for others and herself. She did a great job there in so many ways. It was just a great role model. But your job is to assess yourself along these 3 metrics in the relationships. How present are you? How caring are you? How compassionate? You follow? So we have this you and others, create, build, and maintain exceptional relationships. And this is the common thread, a foundation element, if you want to call it that, being present, caring, and compassionate. Now when you stack that on top of the next item, which is having great habits, looks like habits, that support this, and I'll tell you where you get your habits, right here. Being who you know you should be, doing what you know you should be doing, having what you believe you should have, giving what you should believe you should be giving. You see how this stuff maps? When you have those great habits, this supports everything above it. You follow? You see how the model kind of builds out on everything we've trained so far? Now, the big question is, and this is something some people have what we call in high performance the necessity to own, other people do not, is the red area. And this is where you got to be ultra careful, because here's the thing that most people get around this. I get it conceptually, I understand it intellectually, but I'm not taking action in the right ways to move my habits, to be present, caring, and compassionate when I'm around others, to take care of myself, to create, build, and maintain exceptional relationships with others. So we have to have some level of, and I call it complete accountability. And again, if I'm writing, you better be writing. Accountability. With positive and negative consequences. This is where I come in. And the reason this is in red is because this is where change for the long term is made and kept. Remember, one of the things we teach in high performance is consistency, consistently over the long term. Like this stuff, consistently over the long term. Really owning it. You follow? So here's the thing. If any of this stuff, as I've said all along, you need somebody to hold you accountable to it, we've got My Goal at Success Academy. And it may seem like a tall order because there's so many things. Like you may be out of alignment in every one of these areas. But your job, and if you want my help or any of our coaches, is to sort out what's the gate opener for this for you. What's the first step? Now, from my journey of what I showed you to now, the first step for me was sleep. I was a night owl. 2011, I'm like, I'm just going to try for a week, going to bed, really giving it a go to be asleep by 10, get up around 6:30, which was like unheard of for me at the time. And I was like, okay. And I started that on a Sunday night. By Thursday, I felt so much better that I said, I'm going to do it for 2 weeks. I never quit. I still live to that today. This is, 8, 9 years later. Somewhere there. 7, 8, or 9 years, the math, whatever. The concept is sleep was the gate opener. These other things, because I had higher levels of willpower, automatically happened. I was strong enough to hold myself accountable and give myself consequences. My consequences were things like, you're not going to play your favorite computer game, Battlefield 4. You're not going to be able to play certain games that I loved. That was my reward, my positive consequence. And my negative consequence, I got real clear on those definitions. So maybe a negative consequence for you is just having to report out or be asked by me or another coach, didn't get that done. And that's enough fuel for you to really live into where you need to work, where you need to create the thoughts, behaviors, habits that support being present, caring, compassionate with yourself and with others, creating, building, maintaining. And I'm going to put a big capitals on maintaining exceptional relationships with those you care for, love, serve in the world, right? So we could stop here, and this is a good model. But if you don't drive this, here comes that P word again, from purpose, the world can feel dry. It can feel very, why am I doing this? What's this about? What I love about the work we do in high performance is that when we dial in purpose, this acts as like the fire that pulls us. We don't push to get this stuff done. It pulls us to do it. The reason I was out running today was so that I could be here with you and be in this present frame of mind. Be a good role model for you. Challenge you. Teach you. Coach you. But also teach you how to think. If I didn't run today, I think my energy level would have been a little lower. That's not what I want for us. I want full presence, caring, compassionate. And I challenge you to assess me. How have I done in our training so far? Have I been present with you? Have I been caring and compassionate for you? You liking the model? What I love about this model is you can rate yourself in each of these areas. You can throw a number in here, a number in here, a number here, a number here, well, a number here, here, and here. And say, how am I doing on my habits? Do I have great habits? Nope. 6. Complete accountability? Yeah. Nope. Got to call or email Charlie and get that set up. Have I defined the purpose, the fuel for me? If you need a good way to define that, read Start With Why, or at least watch Simon Sinek's TED Talk on Start With Why. It's got one of the top TED Talks out there with the golden circle. The why, the how, the what. And it'll really help you ignite that. I think it'll really dial it in. It's also for business too. We work with a lot of businesses to build that purpose, to make that real. So, the very top, why are we doing this? And I want to make sure I nail this. It's been just a little while since I reviewed this. Because when we drive a life this way and we live from give, how we help the world, and I'm going to frame, as we've talked about from the very beginning, that is an output that pulls us. So when you think about the outputs of your life and how you can really feel an exceptional life, the people have self-reported that I've coached, and just you can see it all over science and academia. They have a high sensation of helping the world somehow. They're not too much on their self-centered, like egotistical dialogue on themselves. They're really centered around how they're helping others. Just like I hope I've demonstrated that for you. You know? They're also connected to living a purposeful life for a well-defined dream life or lifestyle. So if you take the model and you just work on the top two, I'd love for you, this is a challenge for you, is to just have one page in a notepad or one page in Word that says how I want to, or how I am, or how I could help the world, and maybe add this, be a better place. And just brainstorm. And if you're completely dry on that because you're like, this is all new to you, that's totally cool. There's no judgment here. Let's have the conversation. I'm happy to invite you into one of our Q&As. We'll have the conversation. We have 2 of them a month. We'll have the conversation about how you can help the world be a better place. And I can tell you, I'll really get you engaged. I'm good at that. Hope you're feeling it. Next, have you taken time to define your perfect day? To define your perfect environment? To define your perfect life? Your perfect lifestyle? Like what you're doing to reduce, remove, eliminate stress, your stress management tactics. The routines you have in play daily, monthly, weekly, yearly, to really go after setting some ambition and some anticipation for good things. I was just coaching somebody this morning, and she said, these cruises, they go on these cruises, 4-day, 5-day cruises, they really help us reconnect with ourselves and experience life, and that's part of our dream life. So we just schedule cruises, and that helps us have something to look forward to. And I don't know about you, but if you have these things to look forward to so often, guess what happens? You get so much done just before you go on vacation. Like, you get to bring a lot of things to close that have just been kind of hanging out there. You ever have that sensation? I've had that my entire life. Like, I'll be gone for a week or more, I'm like bringing things to closure immediately. Like, oh my gosh, I got 3 days before I gotta go, and I'm staying up late the night before, getting everything brought to closure so I know things are at a good place, so I can go and enjoy. So a couple people I've coached, they've challenged themselves to schedule more vacations, schedule more away time, schedule more adventure, because they know that's a catalyst for them to get more done, to live better into productivity. How are you doing with this model? Another challenge for you is to really spend the time and work on your purpose. If you need help there, that's part of our high performance coaching process. We have session 11, which is dedicated to purpose, after we've stirred the conversation for 10 other sessions. It's gorgeous. Part of my purpose, in my statement that we define in session 11, is to help improve your life from where you're at to where you want to be in 3 ways: in life, in business, and online. And I recognize in my purpose statement, there's a little star by B. You may not know where you want to be. My job is to help you think bigger. I hope I've been doing that today with you. Take a moment, take a breath, assess. How are you doing here? Has this model helped you think of things a little differently? Where do you need maybe more accountability? What habits are just gotta go? What throws you off? Presence, care, compassion, especially when you're around people you love. And don't get me wrong, we all need our alone time. We need our time to just do what we like to do. But we also need time of connection. That's one of the big regrets, the 5 regrets of the dying, is that idea of golden friendships. Wish I'd let myself be happier. Wish I was my own person. Wish I kept my golden friendships alive. These kind of things while you have your health. That all being said, this ends the training section of our work. Now, adult learning theory says I need to really recap this with you and then challenge you. Well, adult learning theory and influence. From the best place, influencing you for a better you tomorrow, helping you create a better future. That's what coaching's all about. I didn't ever think about it that way, but I was reading Marie Forleo's newest book, Everything is Figure Outable, and she goes, therapy is helping people repair from their past. Coaching is helping helping people create a better tomorrow. And I love helping you create a better tomorrow. I'm not a therapist, but I am a coach. And from what I hear, pretty good one. Not to be braggadocious. But let's step into tactics. So framing everything we've talked through here. Why is it important to us to live into the 5 Ps? What are the 10 areas where we can really dial things in that I wish I could have told my big boy self? And I wish he would have listened. He would have listened, but it would have been a trick to get some of these habits shifted for me, knowing who I was at the time. This would have helped big time, especially around here, because I've always had the drive to help people and work with technology. That was my old purpose statement, even though I didn't really have a purpose statement back in the 80s and 90s. The clarity chart. Who do you want to be for yourself at the very best? Present, joyous, bold. How do you want to interact with others at your very best? What are your success words? I hope that little exercise helped. The entire exceptional life model. Work through each area. You, creating, building, and maintaining exceptional relationships with others. Present, caring, compassionate. Great habits. Complete accountability on those things, are riding on that. Driven from purpose towards how you can help the world be a better place so that you can support, create, sustain that dream life lifestyle. And you've got it well articulated, well documented, owned. So you ready for your challenges? Luckily, this is all available for a replay. And my challenge for you, if this stuff's kind of new for you, or this is your baby stepping into your personal development journey, listen to the replays. It takes 3 times, is what I've discovered, for it to kind of sink in at another level. And make sure you work through this model. So first challenge over here. Dive into each area and truly assess it. So I'll have a copy of this whiteboard for you in our replay. I'll have a copy of this completed. It'll look like this. You already should have this, and the completed version of it looks like this. That'll be in there for you. And so often people take the worksheet, print another copy, and they just put numbers in there, and then they write in those boxes one thing they're committed to in the next week or the next month. So maybe that helps. So for example, down here, I'm committed to sharing 3 things I'm going to be accountable to along these lines to Charlie. My goal at successacademy.us. That's totally cool. Great habits. I'm committed to changing the way I think about sleep, hydration, and eating. And that's where I started when I really started to see the weight fall off. Just those 3. Didn't do the exercise. I only walked. I didn't do any lifting of weights or running or anything. For 3 months, I just concentrated on those 3. That pivoted everything. In my 10-day health, wealth, and happiness challenge, which I'll link to below, you'll see my weight charts of how the weight fell off in the first month from 231 at the time to, I think, 218. Just by dialing that in and nothing else. It was a really cool experience, by the way. So dive in each area and assess it. You clear on that? If you need more direction or help, feel free to let me know. I'm happy to help you there. Pick 3 to 5 high priority areas you want to change. I just went over that. Make sure you know, and I've given you enough articulation of where to start here to really own that for you. Next, journal, think through what type of support you'll need. Now, you've been hearing the coaching conversation, because here's what I know. Change like this, if you're not doing well like I wasn't in that picture, it needs time. It's definitely a journey, not a destination. And we've got a lot of people that can support and serve you to really help you down that just love taking care of you. That like they are so amazing. I'm talking to you guys, Nina, Daniel, Kimberly, Laura, all these people in our community, like Patrick, Karen, just tons of people that would be willing to help and support you and really own that. Dr. John, I know I'm missing a bunch of people. Next, 4, email your goals and the support you think you'll need to mygoal@successacademy.us. Here's what I know. Just putting them down, taking that action and sending them off commits you at a deeper level. Just that exercise. Not that even somebody's reading that. Trust me, I will read that. But just that exercise commits you at a deeper level to the change. Because now you put it out in the world. Number 5, here's my promise to you. We will crush it. If you're serious about change, I will help you, I'll direct you. We have a lot of options for you to make sure that you're getting that change that you want and being real about the journey. We've got a ton of experience. We will own that conversation for you. So that all being said, I hope the exceptional life model has helped you frame exactly how to live an exceptional life. And I hope you know my job on this beautiful planet, take it incredibly seriously, is to help you live more purposefully, more passionately, more positively, more productively, going after your life's work on the short amount of time we have on this beautiful planet. And sometimes it happens as a natural byproduct of all that, living profitably too. So thank you so incredibly much for being with me today, being with me here in this moment. And I just want to make sure you know my goal at successacademy.us, we will crush that together. Thank you. Take care. Let me know how I can help. Bye-bye.